My sister stole my boyfriend. After 2 years, I found them kissing. My mom actually told me, "It's for your own good." 3 years later, I exposed them at a family reunion. This all happened about a decade ago when I was 19. Back then, life felt pretty good, or so I believed. The holidays were approaching, which usually meant I'd visit all my relatives. But this particular Christmas, everything completely unraveled. I was seeing a guy named Liam. He was my first serious boyfriend, and I truly felt we had a strong connection. You know how it is with your first love. You imagine it'll last forever. We'd been together for about 2 years, and I was completely smitten. After I had no reason to doubt him, he always seemed so devoted to me. Then there's my older sister, Emily. She's 2 years my senior, and was my role model growing up. I looked up to her in almost every way. She was smart, popular, and appeared to have everything figured out, or so I thought. We used to spend a lot of time together. So when Liam and I started dating, I introduced him to her right away because I wanted them to hit it off. Big mistake, but I'll get to that in a moment. Fast forward to Christmas. My family had planned a big gathering, but the atmosphere felt off from the start. I couldn't quite pinpoint it, but something felt strange, especially with Emily. She was acting distant, while Liam was. I don't know, he seemed shifty, not himself. My gut told me something was wrong, but I refused to believe it. You just don't expect your own sister to be deceptive. Anyway, a few days after Christmas, I discovered exactly what had been happening. And I mean, I literally walked in on them. Yeah, I wandered into Emily's room to borrow her hair straightener or something. And there they were, Liam and my sister, making out like teenagers at prom. My heart just stopped. It was one of those moments where time seems to freeze. You know, like you can't believe what you're seeing. I didn't say anything at first. I just stood there, staring, trying to process what was going on. What do you even say in a situation like that? They didn't notice me for a few seconds until Liam looked up and froze. Emily did too, and the look on her face, she looked like a deer caught in headlights. There was no denying what was happening. It was right there in front of me, my boyfriend, and my sister. I only recall feeling a rush of anger, despair, and shock all at once. My chest tightened, and I thought I was going to throw up. I managed to stammer out something like, "Are you serious?" Before bolting out of the house. I had no idea where I was going. I just needed to escape. My thoughts were racing, and my heart was shattered. The 2 people I trusted most had betrayed me, and I wasn't sure how to cope. Later that night, my parents found me. I'd been sitting in my car for what felt like hours, crying and trying to make sense of things. When they knocked on my window, I thought, finally, they're here to comfort me. But they didn't. Instead, they told me to calm down and think rationally. Rationally, seriously. They tried to convince me that these things happen, and it's just a guy. But it wasn't just Liam. It was also Emily, my sister, betraying me. In the worst possible way. They kept repeating things like, "Family is family, you have to forgive her." I was like, what the hell? How am I supposed to forgive her for this? I was furious. I felt dismissed, like my feelings didn't matter. It got worse when Emily had the nerve to approach me and say, "I'm sorry, but we didn't mean to hurt you. Liam and I just have feelings for each other." Feelings for each other? Are you kidding me? They'd been sneaking around behind my back, and now they were in love. I couldn't even look at her. I told her she was dead to me and I never wanted to see her again, and I truly meant it. Of course, my parents weren't having it. They kept pushing the family forgiveness angle, claiming I was being melodramatic. My father actually told me to grow up, my own father. It felt like I was losing my whole family at once. I couldn't believe they were siding with her. I'd lost my boyfriend, my sister, and now my parents. I was completely alone. For months, I didn't know how to cope. I'd go to work, come home, and just lie in bed. I would cry until I couldn't anymore. During that period, the only person I had was my best friend Jade. She made sure I ate and got out of bed, but that wasn't enough. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was worthless, as if they were right and I was just being dramatic. Eventually, it became too much. One night, I just broke. I couldn't see a way out of the pain, and I believed the only way to make it stop was to end it. So, I wrote a long letter describing everything about Emily, Liam, and how betrayed I felt. by everyone, and scheduled it to be posted on Tumblr after I was gone. Then, I took a number of pills, lay down, and waited for it to be over. But Jade, being the amazing person she is, found me. She called 911, and I think they arrived just in time because I woke up in the hospital the next morning. I was groggy and disoriented, but I was still alive. They put me on suicide watch after that, which was actually the best thing for me at the time. I needed help. I needed to get away from everything and everyone who had hurt me. My grandparents were the only ones who came to see me while I was there, not my parents or Emily. They didn't try to pressure me to forgive anyone. They simply sat with me, let me talk, and truly listened. They rescued me in more ways than one. They picked me up after I was discharged and took me to live with them. I disconnected from everyone else, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could start to heal. As I mentioned, my grandparents took me in once I was discharged from the hospital. I can't express how grateful I am for them. They didn't try to force me to talk about something I wasn't ready for. They were simply there for me. I was still struggling mentally, but for the first time I felt like I had a support system. But even though I was safe and in a better environment, the true fallout of everything was just beginning. See, I had completely cut off my parents and Emily. I blocked them on everything: Facebook, Instagram, and my phone. I didn't want to hear a single word from them. I was done. They weren't concerned about me when I needed them, so why should I bother? But as I was attempting to heal and move on, my best friend Jade was out there, angry on my behalf. She was furious about what had happened and wasn't going to let them off the hook so easily. I didn't realize it at the time, but Jade was plotting her own little revenge. One day, out of nowhere, she texted me. "I did something, but I think you'll like it." I was like, what did you do?" She said, "Don't be mad, but I shared your note, the one you posted on Tumblr. I made sure everyone saw it." I was stunned at first. I didn't want to air my dirty laundry to the world, you know? But the more I thought about it, the more I realized, screw it. If they didn't care how I felt, why should I care if others knew what they did? And by shared, I mean that Jade tagged my parents, Emily and Liam, in the post and called them out. She went full savage. The post went viral in our small circle. Jade had over 1,000 Facebook friends, and they started sharing it like crazy. I had no idea how many people were aware of what had happened until I started getting texts from random high school classmates, former coworkers, and even people I barely knew. Everyone was coming out of the woodwork to tell me how messed up my family was, how much they cared about me, and how they couldn't believe Emily and Liam did what they did. But that wasn't the weirdest thing. People I knew weren't the only ones who were upset. They also knew others. My mother had a reputation in her church as a perfect, wholesome person, and when members of her congregation saw what happened, they were outraged. Her out of the church, telling her she was no longer welcome due to how she treated me. Imagine being excommunicated from your own church for something like that. I heard she tried to apologize or explain herself, but no one wanted to hear it. She was considered a hypocrite, and it ended her social life. My father. He also lost a significant number of friends, cut him off. People perceived him as a cold, cruel person, and they no longer wanted to be associated with him. And Emily, oh my, Emily had it the worst. I'm not sure how she even managed to leave the house after what Jade posted. People called her a homewrecker, a backstabber, you name it. Some of her closest friends abandoned her, claiming they didn't want anything to do with someone who would betray their own sister in that way. I've heard she got into arguments with people in public. I'm not going to lie, part of me was relieved to hear she was getting what she deserved. It was as if the universe was finally showing her the consequences of what she had done to me. Liam was also held accountable. His family is really religious, as in, they attend church every Sunday, and when they discovered what he'd been doing with Emily behind my back, they freaked out. His parents sent him away on a retreat or something to find God again. He was gone for months, and when he returned, he and Emily had split up. I don't know the specifics, but I can infer that he couldn't handle the criticism, which created a rift between them. Good riddance. Starting to make some improvements. I was making progress, even though it was slow. I didn't care what was going on with my family or how miserable they were, at least that's what I told myself, but hearing about their lives falling apart felt like justice, as if they finally knew what they had put me through. It was messed up, but I wouldn't say it didn't feel good. My grandmother, on the other hand, sat me down one day and said, "Your mom tried to call. She wants to talk." I just rolled my eyes. Why would I want to speak with her now? She didn't care before. Why should she care now? My grandmother simply nodded and said, "I know, honey, but I wanted you to know." I considered it for a second. Was I curious? Yes, a little. Did I care enough to reach out? Absolutely not. My mother had made her bed, and now she had to lie in it. My mother, attempting to reach out, Emily had messaged me on Instagram, and yes, I forgot to block her there. She was trying to apologize, saying she was sorry and never intended to hurt me. I didn't read the entire message. Following that, everything began to calm down. The frenzy around Jade's post soon subsided, and people stopped discussing it, but the damage had been done. Emily had to move somewhere else, since she couldn't bear the constant reminders of her actions. Liam was gone from my life for good, and I was perfectly okay with it. Living with my grandparents was the best thing that could have happened to me. They gave me space to heal without pressuring me to forgive anyone. I began to feel like myself again, as if I could finally move on from everything. But I wasn't naive. With time, but it would never completely disappear. I didn't need them, however. I had my grandparents. Update 1. So, after everything settled and the dust cleared, you'd expect life to return to normal, right? But it didn't. The whole situation with my family and Emily continued to weigh on me. I guess you don't easily get over that kind of betrayal. With my anger and despair, without letting it consume me, it's strange, because despite the fact that I'd cut off all contact with my parents and Emily, they still managed to creep back into my thoughts. Me, even when I didn't want to care, it was always there, you know? It's difficult to describe. I tried to focus on rebuilding my life. I got a new job, made some new friends, and even started attending school part-time for a while. I did whatever I could to distract myself. I wasn't trying to process any of my feelings from my family. I figured if I kept myself busy, I might be able to forget about everything. But that's not how things work. So, one night, I was idly scrolling through Instagram, as you do, and came across a post from one of my cousins. I hadn't really communicated with that side of the family since everything went down, but curiosity got the best of me. Everyone was smiling and having a fantastic time. Me. Now, don't get me wrong. It wasn't like I wanted to attend that reunion. I wouldn't have gone even if they had begged me. But seeing that image made me realize how much I'd been excluded from their lives. It was as if I didn't exist anymore. My family had moved on without me, and they didn't seem to care. It felt like I had been erased. It hit me harder than I expected. I ended up venting to Jade about it the next day, and she said, "Screw them. You're better off without people like that." She was right. I knew that. But it still stung. I had no idea how much I still cared until I saw that stupid Instagram post. It wasn't that I wanted to be around them again. It was more that I couldn't believe how quickly they moved on, as if nothing had happened. But things got stranger from there. Everything she'd done, obviously I didn't pick up. I let it go to voicemail, and when I listened to it later, he was basically begging me to talk. He went on to say, "We've been thinking about you, and we miss you and want to make things right." For a second, I considered calling him back, but then I remembered what happened the last time I tried to talk to them. The gasp it again, so I blocked his number. My mother then tried to reach out as well. She sent me a long email in which she apologized for everything and expressed her desire to repair our relationship. The weird thing is that she never apologized for anything specific. It was all vague statements like, "I'm sorry you're hurt, and we're family, and we need to come together." It didn't feel real at all, like she was just trying to smooth things over without accepting any responsibility. I didn't respond. To be honest, I didn't even bother reading it all. I knew if I allowed myself to interact with them again, I'd slip back into the same toxic dynamic, and I was finally starting to put my life together. Can improve your life. Things began to improve after I let go of the assumption that my family would always be there for me. No more worrying about what others thought of me. No more bending over backward to make them happy. It was just me, living my life and doing my own thing. But then something happened that really messed with my mind. One day, I was at the grocery store, minding my own business, when I ran into someone. Emily. Yes, Emily. I hadn't seen her in over a year, and I hadn't planned on it, but there she was, standing in the produce section, looking as stunned as I was. We just stood there and stared at each other for a minute. I was going to turn around and leave, but then she approached me. She began talking extremely quickly, as if she was desperate to get everything out before I could go. She was crying, telling me how much she regretted everything, how much she missed me, and how her life had fallen apart since I had cut her off. Honestly, I had no idea what to say. I was outraged, but I also felt a strange sense of sympathy for her. She looked terrible, as if life had truly worn her down. She kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry," repeatedly, but it didn't matter. It was too late. There was nothing she could say to make things right. I just stood there, her babble, until I finally said, "I don't hate you, but I also don't want you in my life." And then I walked away. She didn't try to stop me. She just stood there crying as I left. It was strange, because I expected seeing her to make me angry, but it didn't. If anything, it reminded me of how far I had come. I was no longer that sad, damaged person. Emily and my parents had no power over me anymore. I was finished with them for good this time. After that, I stopped thinking about Emily or my parents so much. That last encounter seemed to provide me with the closure I didn't realize I needed. I continued on with my life, and yes, it's still not perfect, but it is mine now. I am in control. I have my grandparents and my friends, which is all I need. If my family wishes to fix things, that is up to them. However, they are no longer a part of my life, and honestly, I'm fine with that. Update 2. So after running into Emily at the grocery store and walking away, I felt I had finally put an end to all the family turmoil. I was moving on, focusing on my own life, and simply trying to live without all that drama hanging over me. I wasn't thinking about them much anymore, which felt like a victory in itself. But then something happened that brought everything rushing back. It was a normal Friday night. I was just hanging out at home with Jade, watching a weird Netflix show and eating takeout, when I received this strange call from an unknown number. Normally, I wouldn't bother answering unfamiliar calls, but something inside me urged, pick it up, so I did. On the other end, there was this guy. He seemed unsettled and didn't introduce himself right away, so I assumed it was a scam or a telemarketing call. But then he says, "Hey, it's Liam, my ex." I hadn't heard from him in years, not since his family sent him away to find Jesus, or whatever after the whole Emily situation. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to hang up, but curiosity got the best of me, so I was like, "What the hell do you want?" He paused for a moment before saying, "I need to talk to you. It's important. Important, after all this time." I wasn't buying it, but before I could tell him to buzz off, he started talking about how his life had been a mess since everything happened, how he regretted what he did, and how he wanted to truly apologize. I could sense the despair in his voice, and for a brief moment, I felt sorry for him. But then I remembered how much he had hurt me, how much they had both hurt me, and I was in no condition to reopen that wound. I told him, "Look, Liam, I've moved on. I don't care about your apology. Whatever happened between you and Emily, or whatever regrets you have, that's on you. I don't want anything to do with it." I was about to hang up when he said something that made me freeze. He responded, "It's not just about me and Emily. There's something you don't know." I responded, "What do you mean?" He continued, "I'm not the only one who betrayed you. Your family. There's more to the story now." I didn't want to believe him. I assumed he was just trying to pull me back into the chaos, but something about his voice, the way he said it, didn't feel like a lie. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet with him the next day. I'm not sure why. Perhaps a part of me wanted to hear whatever he had to say to gain complete closure, or maybe I was just intrigued. In any case, I was about to encounter an unexpected situation. The following day, we met at a coffee shop. I hadn't seen Liam in a long time, and when I did, he looked different, as if life had torn him apart and spit him out. He was thinner, had bags under his eyes, and appeared worn out. Part of me wanted to feel sorry for him, but the other part remembered how he betrayed me, so I remained cautious. We sat down, and there was a really awkward silence for a minute. I could tell he didn't know where to begin. Finally, I said, "You said there's something I don't know, so just say it." He took a big breath and began speaking, and what he told me truly shocked me. Apparently, my parents knew about Liam and Emily long before I did. They'd known for months, perhaps even longer. They not only knew, but also approved of it. My mother had urged Emily to pursue Liam because she believed we were incompatible or whatever. She thought Emily would be a better fit for him and that I was overly attached to Liam. My mother had been playing matchmaker behind my back, attempting to set up my boyfriend with my sister. I couldn't believe what I heard. I felt as if the room was spinning. I interrupted him with, "Wait, are you saying my mom was okay with you cheating on me with my sister?" He nodded, looking down at his hands, and replied, "Yeah, I didn't want to go along with it at first, but Emily kept pushing, and your mom kept saying it was for the best. I know that doesn't excuse anything, but I didn't think you knew." I just sat there staring at him, my thoughts racing. All this time I assumed the betrayal was limited to Liam and Emily. I had no idea my mother was orchestrating everything. Behind the scenes, I felt like an idiot. How could I have missed it? How could I have assumed my parents were passive in all of this? Liam kept talking about how he regretted it and wished he hadn't gone along with it, but I stopped listening. I was too busy trying to process what he had just said. My own mother had sabotaged my relationship because she believed Emily was better for Liam than I was. Finally, I cut him off. I didn't need to hear any more. I thanked him for telling me and left the coffee shop. My mind was racing, and I felt like I was about to explode. I couldn't believe how profound the betrayal was. It was no longer just Liam and Emily. My entire family was involved, watching me fall apart and doing nothing to stop it actually encouraging it. When I got home, I sat in my car for a while, just thinking. I wanted to yell, hit something, or do anything to release my rage, but instead, I sat there, numb. I wasn't sure what to do. A part of me wanted to confront my parents, blow up at them, and demand explanations. But another part of me knew it would make no difference. They'd just gaslight me again, telling me I was overreacting, as they always did. I wasn't sure what my next step would be. All I knew was that the betrayal went far deeper than I had thought, and the people I thought I'd never trust again had managed to hurt me even more. Update 3. So, when I discovered my own mother was behind the whole affair with Emily and Liam, I felt like I was living in a horrible movie. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept replaying everything in my head: betrayal, deceit, and manipulation. I mean, who does that to their own child? It wasn't just about the guy anymore. This was about my entire family, including my own mother, who actively tried to screw me over and thought it was okay. I woke up the next morning feeling like I was about to burst. I didn't care about moving on or staying calm anymore. I was furious, and I needed answers. So, I did something I knew I shouldn't. I drove over to my parents' place. I hadn't been there since I cut them off, but I couldn't sit around any longer. I needed to understand why. When I arrived, I didn't bother. Knocking, I had a key, so I simply let myself in. My parents were in the kitchen preparing breakfast, as if nothing had happened, utterly unaware of the impending explosion. They looked surprised to see me, especially my mother. My father gave me an uneasy smile, as if he wasn't sure whether he should be glad I was there or terrified. I didn't waste time with small talk. I blurted it out. "Did you know about Emily and Liam? Did you set them up?" My mother's face grew pale. She didn't respond immediately, and I could see the gears spinning in her head as she tried to figure out how to spin this. My father looked puzzled, as if he had no idea what I was talking about, but my mother knew. "Why does that matter now?" she finally asked, trying to dismiss it as if it were no big deal. I lost it. I slammed my hand down on the table and exclaimed, "Why does it matter? Are you serious? You ruined my life. You stood by and watched while I was falling apart, and you did nothing. You let Emily and Liam hurt me because you thought it was for the best." My father's expression changed as I said that. He glanced at my mother as if he was piecing everything together, as if he, too, didn't know the whole story. "What is she talking about?" He questioned her. My mother tried to calm me down. She began speaking in that condescending tone she always used when she believed I was being dramatic. She responded, "You were too attached to Liam. It wasn't healthy. I thought if Emily was with him, you'd finally see that he wasn't right for you. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was doing what was best. For you." That's when something clicked for me. She didn't believe she had done anything wrong. In her perspective, she was helping me by severing my bond and pushing Liam towards Emily. She wasn't apologizing, she was explaining it as if she were a hero. In the twisted narrative she had crafted, I questioned my father. "Did you know?" He looked at me, then at her, and replied, "No, I didn't. I had no idea she was involved." He appeared to be about to vomit, as if I had punched him in the stomach. At this point, I didn't care anymore. There was no excuse to make any of this acceptable. I had had enough of trying to understand. My mother kept talking, trying to explain that she was only looking out for me and doing what she believed was best, but I wasn't listening. All I could think of was how I'd spent months hating Emily and Liam, despite the fact that the true mastermind behind everything had been sitting there in front of me the entire time. "I can't believe you," I interrupted her mid-sentence. "You didn't care about what was best for me. You just wanted control. You've always wanted control, and now, because of you, I lost everything." I could see my father getting angry as well. He stepped up and asked, "Why didn't you tell me any of this? Why would you go behind my back like that?" But my mother was still locked in her own little world, defending herself. "I didn't think it mattered," she replied. "Emily was better. For Liam, and I was trying to protect our family, I couldn't handle it anymore. I told her straight up, 'You didn't protect anything. You destroyed it, and I will never forgive you for this, ever.' And with that, I left the house. As I walked away, I could hear my father yelling at her, but I didn't stay to hear what else was said. I was finished. I'm done with everything. On the way back, I felt unusually peaceful. I believe I anticipated feeling more. I'm not sure. Relieved, confronting her would provide me with some sort of closure, but it didn't. If anything, it merely confirmed what I already knew. I couldn't trust my family, not my mother, not even my father at this point. They were not the people I thought they were, and they never would be. When I returned to my grandparents' home, I told them everything. They were stunned, but not surprised, if that makes sense. They'd always had doubts about my mother, but they didn't want to intervene. Nonetheless, they were supportive. My grandfather hugged me and said, "You did the right thing by confronting her, but you don't owe them anything. You've got your own life to live now." And he was correct. I had my own life to live. I'd been furious and hurt for so long, but at the end of the day, all I could do was move on. I couldn't influence what my family did, but I could control how much space they took up in my thoughts. I haven't spoken to my parents since that day. My father sent me a number of texts apologizing, but I never replied. I haven't seen or heard from Emily since that day at the grocery store, and Liam is merely a ghost from my past, someone I no longer think about. What I've learned from all of this is that even the ones who are meant to love you the most can hurt you in unexpected ways. But that doesn't mean you have to let them continue to hurt you. I've created my own life now, surrounded by people who genuinely care about me, my grandparents, my friends, and Jade. They are my real family. They were the ones who stood by me when everything fell apart, and now I am completely at peace. It took a long time and wasn't easy, but I'm content with where I am. My family may still be living their lives, but I am also living mine, and for the first time in years, it feels like it truly belongs to me.